pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening. Welcome to the graduation ceremony for the class of 2020. First, let me begin by saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry the school year ended the way it did due to COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sorry for everything the seniors missed over the last few months, and I know it's been very difficult, and this is not the way things should end. As a principal, I love every part of the school year. I enjoy being at all the events, stopping in the classrooms, seeing everyone in the hallways, and visiting with students in the cafeteria. Usually spring is a time I find myself in my corner in the cafeteria in the mornings and during lunch thinking about our seniors. I think about how far they've come and where they will be heading after graduation. This year I could not do that in my usual manner, but I did think about our seniors every single day. I found myself thinking about the things they have missed and desperately trying to find a way to fix things. I pride myself in fixing things. That's what I do. But of course I could not. Then my thoughts turned to the wonderful things these students have done over the years. I thought about our CTC seniors and the fact that their programs ended so abruptly, and how would they complete their programs online. Then I thought about Emily and how she'll be the first person in her family to graduate high school. Canceling the spring musical was devastating for the cast, especially for the seniors. Then I thought about how patient and kind the seniors were with the younger students in the cast, helping them learn their parts. I feel certain their influence will be present in the next year's musical. I felt horrible that Zach could not swim for a gold medal in the state swim meet. But then I remember when Mrs. Copenhaver, our artistic support teacher, asked for volunteers to eat lunch with some of her students to help with social skills, and Zach was the first to volunteer. He ate lunch every day with one of her students and made him feel accepted, valued, and a member of his table. When the Big 33 game was canceled, I thought about Noah, Brock, and Caitlin, how disappointed they would be. Then I thought about when our football team won districts and Noah was the last player on the buses for their parade through the community because he made sure every little kid that wanted his autograph got it. I thought about a time I was observing a class that Brock was in and how he helped a struggling student without batting an eye. I thought about Caitlin and how she always carried herself with grace and poise, and what a great role model she is for our younger girls. When the spring sports season was canceled, I knew our athletes would be crushed. Then I thought about the leadership, character, and work ethic that our seniors have developed over the years in the sports, and how these traits would take them far in life. I thought about how our spring concert and art show would be canceled, and how tough it would be for our musicians and artists to not have their last performance and show. Then I recalled the birthday wish the Cocalico sent me during the closure, and how it brought me to tears. I thought about Austin and how hard he worked on the awesome pieces I got to see in the showcase in the main hallway. I thought about the loss of our prom, senior class trip, senior picnic, and all the other senior activities, and how difficult it must be for our senior class president, Carrie, and her cabinet. Then I remember when Carrie came to Cocalico from Linden Hall and how shy and reserved she was. It's been amazing watching her develop into the fierce leader of her class. I could go on and on, but I'll stop. We only have so much time with Blue Ridge, who I want to thank for everything they've done to make our virtual graduation a reality. They have been awesome. During a special ceremony, the class of 2020 received their diplomas on Saturday, and it was wonderful to see each and every one of them. The diplomas these graduates received represent years of hard work, commitment, dedication, and achievement. The class of 2020 will be greatly missed, and many people can testify to their incredible academic achievements, passionate performances in the arts, and tremendous competitions in athletics. But this group of 205 seniors is so much more than grade point averages, inspiring performances, and championships. This class is unique, not because of what they accomplished, but how they accomplished it. In an era of uncertainty and unimaginable events, they are the group that will lead the way to healing. These 9/11 babies are resilient, kind, and have grit. The cohesiveness, camaraderie, and kindness this class has demonstrated will be long remembered. They're a tight-knit group who have touched the hearts of so many. They have truly made a difference and will continue to do so. That's what life is all about, making a difference. That's the core of who they are. Each of these students will take a different path, but will also take a piece of Cocalico with them. Their resiliency will spread across the nation. After the ceremony, seniors, celebrate with your family. Take time tonight to thank your parents. They've done a remarkable job, and this has not been easy for them. Also, send a thank you note to the people that made a difference in your life, the teacher that sparked your interest in learning, the staff member that saw you struggling, the counselor that helped you with a life-changing issue, the coach that encouraged you to work harder, the advisor that guided you to serve, or the family member that inspired you. Thank the people that made a difference in your life. Wherever your future leads you, we'll be watching and cheering for you. I'm looking forward to updates from your lives and seeing where your path leads you. Before I go, I want to make sure I say thank you for all you have taught me. Thank you. I'd like to recognize the class of 2020's top 10 students. Kibson Elmore, Noah Bennetch, Andrew Stevens, Aaron Bach, Allyson Richwine, Austin Buzzkirk, Miguel Prysakar, Caitlin Ebersol, Bailey Souter, and Payson Elmore. Great job. It is my honor to introduce the senior class president, Carrie Buckwalter.
Hello, my name is Carrie Buckwalter, and I have had the pleasure of being the Cocalico senior class president. While we are not together in person today, we are together in spirit. I welcome everyone watching at home, school board members, administration, family, friends, and most importantly, all the graduates. We are the class of 2020, and we had a senior year like no other. We are not alone. Across the world, we are all connected by our shared experiences. I'm not here to explain to you what we will never have, but because we are here to think ahead and start the next chapter of our lives. Now is not the time to mourn the present, but to remember the past and think forward to the future. These past 4 years have gone by fast. We came into high school young and naive, and we are leaving Cocalico with a new view of the world. When I started my freshman year, I had my future planned out in great detail. Each year, the plan altered as I matured and started paying attention to the world around me. I was on a purely academic and college prep track, and even started to plan out my college application process during my freshman year. I started taking AP classes my sophomore year, but never left enough room in my busy schedule for an art, TV, or even food and baking class. I was so focused on the goal of I was so focused on my future that I never slowed down and to reflect on what I was doing. I threw myself into student government, which created an even busier schedule. My summers were packed between my summer job and a volunteer position. In March, when the schools closed down, the things that I had put all of my energy into were gone. With all of my newfound free time, I used my time to reflect on these past 3.5 years. While I don't regret anything because I will be attending an incredible college in the fall, I wish I would have slowed down and really took in the small things. Instead of being stressed about the next activities and the pep rallies, I wish I would have slowed down and really enjoyed the moment, especially the small moments like laughing in the cafeteria with my friends instead of stressing about an upcoming test. When going into these next phase of my life, I will be taking the revelation to slow down and enjoy the small moments that truly matter. When Governor Wolf announced that all the schools were going to be closed for the rest of the year, like all the other seniors, I had mourned for the year I was missed, especially graduation we were all looking forward to. While we will never fully have closure we are all looking for, we will persist. If I have learned anything about our class, is that we are stubborn, resilient, and can get through anything we put our minds to. These past few months have been hard, and we were separated from the people we spent the last 13 years with. Now we are taking our separate ways, taking what Cocalico has taught with us over the past years, and putting it to wherever we go in the future. While these next few months and years might be filled with uncertainty, no matter where we go, we will always have the Cocalico community to cheer us on. On behalf of the senior class, I want to thank the teachers, administration, and the staff who have always been there for us, and to everyone who believed in us even when we didn't believe in ourselves, especially during these past couple months when everyone kept encouraging us even when we weren't together. Personally, I want to thank my friends, family, and everyone at Cocalico who has listened to me, advised me, and supported me for all my life. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, it's our senior class quote by Maya Angelou, which has never been more fitting. I encourage you to live with life, be courageous, adventurous, give us a tomorrow more than we deserve. It is my honor to introduce the valedictorian, Kibson Elmore.
I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak to you, and I'm thankful for all of my teachers and friends who have helped me through the years. Interestingly enough, my great-grandmother also had the privilege of delivering a valedictorian speech to her classmates 83 years ago in the year 1937. She addressed a group that was struggling through economic hardships caused by the Great Depression while facing worries about a Second World War. My great-grandmother's message to her fellow seniors was a call to take action instead of becoming victims of their circumstances. I'd like to extend a similar invitation to the class of 2020 to help us with challenges we may be facing. In order to do so, let me take you back a little further to the year 1700. Life was good for a man named Isaac Newton. He had just celebrated his 58th birthday, and soon the Queen would change his name from Isaac Newton to Sir Isaac Newton. He must have taken pride in knowing that he would be offering future generations 3 universal laws of physics, the first being, a stationary body will stay stationary unless a force is applied to it. To the class of 2020, while we've been relatively stationary within the walls of our high school, the doors will now open to a world full of opportunity. As Newton's law states, our stationary selves will remain stationary unless a force is applied to us. As we transition into the next chapter of our lives, I ask you, will that force come from within, or will it come from somewhere or something else? To act or be acted upon, which category will you choose? As some of you know, I enjoy the game of basketball. I developed my love for the sport at a very young age by playing one-on-one against my twin brother. We would play for endless hours on a small Nerf hoop that hung in our bedroom. In recent years, while playing real basketball, we both tore our ACLs during unrelated incidents. Knowing that my recovery would last through much of my senior year, I had a choice to make. Would I call it quits and walk away from the sport I loved most, or would I attempt to make an unlikely return? I chose to act instead of being acted upon. I worked hard for almost a year to rehab my knee, and the action paid off. I returned to the court for the last few games. Those small moments on the court were a great victory for me as I proved to myself that I didn't need to be a victim of my circumstances. That experience helped me develop a new mindset that perhaps my injury didn't happen to me, but actually happened for me to give me a better perspective on how to approach a challenge. Fellow classmates, the news that has dominated the headlines recently is COVID-19. We've been handed a situation that is unfamiliar to many of us. So what can we do? Instead of viewing the circumstance as something happening to us, let's treat it as something happening for us. We know that strength is the result of struggle, and we have become stronger and more resilient over these past few months. Difficult times will teach us more than the easy times. When we understand that, we won't let discouragement push us down for long. We will get up and act instead of being acted upon. To the class of 2020, we now enter a world of new opportunities, and we're ready for this journey. We have drive, motivation, and a hunger to explore the unexplored. Whatever paths you pursue in life, remember that you are not alone in this journey. We have spent these past few months at home with our closest supporters, our families. Please take time today to thank them for all they have done to help us reach this important step in our lives. Though our challenges may be different from those of my great-grandmother's generation, we still have a similar choice to make. Will we allow our circumstances to govern us, or will we choose to act for ourselves? To the class of 2020, as we start this new chapter, let us choose to act instead of being acted upon. Many thanks to my teachers, my friends, my family, and to God. All the best to my classmates of 2020.
It is my honor to introduce Noah Bennetch.
I just want to begin by thanking a few people who have gotten me to this point in my life. I want to thank all the teachers, administration, and staff here at Cocalico for helping all of us grow as students as well as people. I want to thank my parents for always pushing me to work hard and always being my biggest supporters. I also just want to thank all the students here at Cocalico for making this the best high school experience I could have asked for. Coming into this year, I was really hopeful that I would be able to speak at commencement, but this is not at all what I had in mind. I really wish that you could all be here with me today, but obviously, due to the current events in the world, this is not possible. I'm going to try my best to act like you're all here with me. So, everyone knows the age-old saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. This saying is meant to represent turning all the sour things in life into something much more positive. I think lemons is an understatement according to the recent events in our life. It seems like life has handed us a large pile of garbage. Although it may seem like more and more is just getting piled on, I think we all need to take a second and search for something positive in all this. I hope many of you have used this time productively to pick up a new craft, learned about something you've never had time for before, or even just take time to take care of yourself. It's so easy to mope around and complain, but it's so important that we stay connected with one another and just stay positive. We're taking our next steps in life very soon, and our mental health is more important than ever before. Many people have probably told you how these events are going to be life-changing and you'll remember them for the rest of your life, so I'll keep my thoughts on that brief. I do think these events have been life-changing, and I know it sucks that we all lost the end of our senior year, but at least we got to cherish the past 4 years together. We were able to make memories and friends that will last us a lifetime. So now, going back to the lemons. In life, we're going to face our own unique challenges, or our sour moments. How we approach these challenges will define who we are. It's not always going to be easy to do. We need to remember that positivity is contagious. Always be the optimist. Always look to make the best out of any situation. The world needs more optimism and happiness, and I know our class can be the one to start bringing this into the lives of others in the very near future. Whether it was someone holding the door for me, or loaning me a pencil, or even just a friendly hello in the hallway, I always felt like I belonged here at Cocalico. These small acts of kindness can mean a lot. They can spread happiness and joy to people you may not even realize. We may be going on various different paths, but whether we like it or not, we're now part of a family. All 204 of us are part of the class of 2020 at Cocalico. I would not have wanted to share my high school experience with any other class. Our class is full of talented, creative, and most importantly, kind people. We've dealt with adversity through our lives. Many of us born around the tragedy of 9/11, living through the Great Recession in 2008, and now living through a global pandemic, all before we've graduated high school. I can confidently say that life has handed us some lemons. But these challenges have made us stronger, have brought us closer together. We've all been through these experiences together, and so have many people around the nation and around the world. Although these events have been tragic, we can use them to grow closer with one another and others in the future. I've truly cherished these past 4 years we have had together. I can't wait to see what everyone will accomplish. So just remember, in the future, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Thank you. It is my honor to next introduce Allyson Richwine.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what to write this speech about. I didn't know if anyone wanted to hear more of what Facebook and Instagram have been saying about how we're the class born in the time of 9/11 and graduating in a global pandemic. As that is true, and we are totally awesome for surviving the things that we have, I wanted to shift my focus more towards the things we did get to enjoy, rather than the things that we had taken from us. I realize that not everyone has been in Cocalico School District since elementary school, but that is where we are going to travel back to begin this. We first met many of our fellow classmates at Camp Sotara. Not everyone was there at the same time, but we met a few new people and made some new friends while enjoying some outdoor activities and slightly questionable food. A few months later, we hit field day. Every elementary school class competed against one another in outside games, and we got to know more of those with which we would soon join in middle school. Several of us still talk about these events today when we had our first relationship. Elementary school had some wild times. A few of us still have those vivid memories of crawling out the back of a bus that had fake smoke in it while we were learning fire safety. Or some of us might even still have those yo-yos we bought because a guy came for an assembly and somehow convinced us that we needed them. After all that, we entered 6th grade. We were placed in homerooms of all new people in an all new building and had to start an all new part of our lives. For most, it was terrifying. However, our class did not take long to adjust to the newness. We quickly made friends and became comfortable with the new schedule in place. Through middle school, we enjoyed field trips together, such as the Reading Phillies baseball game, Washington, D.C., and career days. We had fun at mini-thons, dodgeball tournaments, and track and field day. Our first school dances even took place in the middle school. Then we started high school together. This is when we went to our first homecoming, learned to drive, some of us better than others, and where we finally got to pick our seats at lunch. We started doing less all together, but more individually for our futures. We got jobs and slowly started to become more responsible people. We watched each other grow, mature, and succeed. Now, wherever you joined Cocalico on your journey, I can say with honesty you were a crucial part. Every single one of you contributed to the good things we've had over the years, and every single one of you is an amazing part of the class of 2020. We have all made memories we will carry with us forever, and I am thankful to say I grew up with you guys. You made high school the adventure it was, and to that I say thank you. It is my honor to introduce Amy McGee.
First, I would like to thank all of the administration, especially Mr. Irvine and Mr. Bodler, for making this come together, and for the opportunity, as well as for my family, for helping me through every step of the way. I am Amy McGee, and because our class is so small, you probably already knew that. These are not the circumstances I imagine I would be giving this speech in. Forewarning, I'm not going to talk about COVID-19 because I wanted to focus on something that the news wasn't covering, and that you haven't seen chewed up, swallowed, and spit out. So, I wanted to talk about growing up. I hate to inform you, but this is the day that we have to learn how to make more than peanut butter and jelly and grilled cheese. Now, you're gonna think I stole this quote from Pinterest, which, to be fair, I probably did in some motivational spree. But I've attempted to live by this quote: don't let your fear of looking stupid hold you back. I think it's really easy to be the person to say, I'm not going to be in the picture because that's a lame thing to do. I'm going to shrug it off and say I'm too busy. Please shoot the shot, try the food you're too picky to eat, be in the picture, and mostly live fearlessly as we continue our lives. Trust me, you are not too cool to stand up and do something you could potentially love. I guarantee you're going to fail, but hey, that's what makes the homepage on YouTube. A couple of years ago, I found my own fear that I'm sure many of you have experienced or will experience. I learned how to drive. This seems straightforward, and let me tell you, it in fact was not. The first time I drove, I was truly not successful, and I had planned in my head. For some reason, everyone thinks they're going to be naturally talented and gifted, and I was really disappointed that this was not the case. I'm 5'3" on a good day, and my car is a Ford Ranger pickup truck. I got in, sat down, moved the car all the way forward because I have to, because I still have to, but there we were, the nearest church parking lot. The goal? Drive home, probably less than a mile. It's raining, I start to drive, and I'm not in the lines at all. After being told to drive in the lines multiple times, I'm now crying because this is not what I had imagined in my head. This was a disaster for lots of reasons, one of which being that I couldn't see the hood of my truck or the road. So, from that point on, I got an adult booster seat and carried on my mission to drive. I despise driving, and I still don't feel that comfortable in it right now. My anger and frustration about my struggles to drive showed up about every time I couldn't figure out how to park. And let me tell you, parking over and over and over again when you're unsuccessful is not fun, but I marched through slowly. I headed off to take my test, shaking like a leaf in the wind, and I did it. I passed. My mom and I both cried at the outcome. Success through the struggle finally. Within months of driving, I crashed into a stationary object at the gas pump. This was so embarrassing and, in fact, a failure. What I had forgotten to realize is how far I had come. Yes, I had hit a stationary object at the gas station, but I also got my license and taken up the confidence to even park between two cars, which at first seemed incredibly daunting. While it was a huge embarrassing mess, I learned to find peace and humor within my failure. Because face it,
That's kind of funny. It is uncomfortable to accept defeat, but nothing extraordinary ever happens in the comfort zone. Listen, am I still mildly afraid to get gas? Yes, but I still do it. That's the important part. My fear of looking stupid is not going to hold me back. Accept defeat, laugh at the coffee you left on your car and drove away with. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Some days your toast is going to burn. Take a deep breath. You are going places. We are taking our own roads, finding our people, and placing our roots. As the class of 2020, let us rediscover each other in unusual places like aisle 4 of the grocery store, taking too long to catch up like our moms. Even in our various lives, let us always find comfort in being the small class, but never let ourselves become too comfortable. When we find ourselves in situations that are both scary and awesome, I beg you all to follow the terrifying and wonderful thing. It is my honor to introduce the wonderful, multi-talented Miguel Prysakar.
I've attended Commencement for the past 3 years and watched as each class each year presents their speeches. I see the unique theme that developed through each different class. To finally be here for my own graduation seems like a dream, even if not under the most ideal circumstances. I began my education as a non-English speaking student at a small private Mennonite school. My parents immigrated from the Ukraine to offer our family a better opportunity and education. My first challenge stemmed from a language barrier that hindered my ability to develop friendships. Rather than allowing that to limit me, I developed my work ethic and my ability to overcome obstacles. I came to Cocalico in the 7th grade and had felt like an outsider for so long. But entering high school led me to start anew and begin a journey that led me to where I needed to go. The faculty and my peers all impacted me, and through everything I've been through, it was them who shaped me for the past 6 years. The many setbacks all felt limiting, but I have faith now in myself, and without them, I wouldn't have the ability to prevail. But one of the biggest things I've learned going through this year is that everyone is something in this world. Though it's not some great or deep revelation, it was a simple lesson that I felt I was guilty of overlooking. Throughout high school, we have this subconscious preconceived notion that the world is somehow constructed for us, and that anyone in our way is insignificant or irrelevant to our end goal. But rather, every person that has crossed our path, directly or indirectly, has affected us and shaped us in the person we are now. As we move on to the next stage of our lives, it is important to remember that it's through others that we grow the most and gain a greater understanding of our purpose. We are just as in debt to the world as we are to ourselves. Don't dismiss the validity of people's existence because it doesn't change that they are just as human as we, and by acknowledging it is where we gain a greater perspective. So as you all go out into the world, think of how you can affect it for good. Without a focus on others, we end up aimlessly working towards a goal with no value, end up creating a void in our lives. So create a community for yourselves in which you can nurture and support others just as this community supported us and built us. And when hardships come, which they will, it is important to remain steadfast and remember that the world isn't against you. Rather, just like growing pains, challenges end up shaping you into an upgraded version of yourself. Consider the situation we are in now. Our 4 years of high school experience weren't defined by the 2 months spent in quarantine, and reflecting on what we have accomplished is greater than any loss that we may have suffered, and nothing can take that away. Count on others, and even when they let you down or hurt you, remember that they too are a person, so always forgive and learn from them. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So remember, you are in charge of your life. Assume the responsibility, and don't allow the thoughts of actions of others to persuade you to hand the reins to them. Thank you. I'd like to now welcome back Mr. Irvine.
It is my honor to declare that these students have met the requirements needed to graduate from Cocalico High School. Dr. Musser, Reverend Eshleman, I recommend these students for diplomas without reservation. Each student has attained the knowledge, skills, and character that will make our community proud. Reverend Eshleman, it's my honor to present you the members of the Cocalico High School class of 2020.
Well, congratulations. I can only imagine how wonderful it is to hear those words from Mr. Irvine, that you have fulfilled all the qualifications to be a Cocalico High School graduate. And so I congratulate you in that. And also, I thank you for your diligence and hard work that you've done to come to this point in your life. And while I thank you, I also want to take a moment and thank those who have worked alongside of you to bring you to this point. I think of parents and siblings and grandparents, aunts and uncles, and community in general out there. And of course, those of us here at Cocalico School District, teachers and administrators, all the paraprofessionals, all the coaches, the bus drivers who got you here safely. And of course, we can't neglect to say the food service team, because you can't get through high school without some good tacos in that process. I know that you are the graduating class of the year 2020. That's who you are collectively. But as important as what that is, each one of you individually have unique God-given calling, a God-given gifts, personality, a temperament, talents, opportunities that you have. And from this point forward, it's going to be how you make the most of that opportunity in the world around you as well. I want to encourage you in that today, because we live in a culture that oftentimes thinks about, when you graduate from high school, you graduate from college, you think about, this is what I need to get for myself, this is what I want for myself. And we have a culture that's a little bit focused on what you can get. And I want to encourage you today that true life, true fulfillment in life actually comes from what you can give, not necessarily what you can get. And I want to encourage you from a person from history. And we'll go to a guy named John Rockefeller. Born in 1839. He was born in the height of the Industrial Revolution, and Mr. Rockefeller was both gifted and he was driven. He was gifted in that he knew numbers well, knew how to make deals. He was an assistant bookkeeper by age 16, began making some of his own deals by age 20, and pursued it hard. And he was making deals, and every deal that he made had one goal. His desire was to accumulate as much wealth and power to himself as possible. And his contemporaries were people like Andrew Carnegie and J.P. Morgan. They competed over things like oil and the railroad and steel and even electricity. And Mr. Rockefeller did very, very well. He was a millionaire by age 33, and he was our nation's very first billionaire. And all of that was done. He had one thing in mind. He wanted to be the wealthiest, most powerful person in the nation. And through his craft in making deals, that finally came about where he made this final deal and leveraged his equity to make that deal. And he became the wealthiest, most powerful person in the United States. Something happened shortly after that where he began to actually lose his health. And he began to deteriorate physically to the point where he couldn't digest anything. He could only digest either milk or crackers. And all the doctors that were around him, which were the best that money could buy, could not find a reason for his illness nor a resolution to his illness. One day, John Rockefeller awoke from a dream early in the morning, and motivated by the dream that he had, he gathered together his business managers and his accountants for really what would be his greatest business deal. And what was interesting about that business deal was it was not based upon what he could get for himself or how he could acquire things for himself, but this one was based upon what he could give. And he put together a business deal that would take all of his wealth and he would give it away for the common good. I mean, even to this day, some of us, we have the benefits from the day of even things like penicillin, cure for tuberculosis, malaria, and many other things that are too numerous to mention. And as wonderful as that is, he launched a new level of competition, which wasn't based on what you could get, but it was based upon what you could give. Now remember that I told you that John Rockefeller was losing his health and there was no explanation for it. But when he made this shift away from acquiring things for himself and then making the shift towards giving things away, it actually affected his physical body to the point where he recovered in his early 50s. He recovered his health and lived all the way to be 98 years of age. It took John Rockefeller almost a lifetime to learn what you can learn and even believe just even today. That true life and fulfillment in life does not come from what you can acquire for yourself, but it comes as when you take the uniqueness of who you are and you learned to give it away. You invested in others. And my desire for you is that you embrace the uniqueness of who you are, and you take all that you are and you give it away into a world that needs you to make a difference. Again, congratulations to the class of 2020, and may God bless you in your journey.
Emily Ann Alvarez, Ryan Alexander Anderson, Ashley Elizabeth Angstadt, Paige Nicole Ardeline, Nathan Oscar Barnhart, Tyler Batista Nieto, Caroline Elizabeth Baum, Alexandra M. Benedict, Nicholas Peter Benfield, Noah Benjamin Bennetch, Ashton Eric Berge, Destin R. Bernard, Shay Lynn Bickle, Erin Nicole Bach, Ravum Bajko, Tara Ray Brenner, William Magnus Briones Chica, Madison Pearl Book, Carrie Elizabeth Buckwalter, Nathan Samuel Buckwalter, Ning Rose Bucalo, Janelle Y. Bird, Preston Richard Bird, Brianna Nicole Burkholder, Austin Michael Buskirk, O'Brien Frederick Burns, Jacob Lee Campbell, Tyler Anthony Cloud, Raphael Giovanni Colamusi, Madison Lynn Colamasine, Tyrus Raymond Current, Carrie Ella Daub, Grady S. Daub, Christina Marie Davis, Radislav Denisenko, Allison Renee Dixon, Caitlin Page Deckhouse, Hunter John Deem, Paul Hudson Dominique, Claire E. Eberly, Caitlin Ann Ebersole, Christopher Lloyd Edwards, Kibson James Elmore, Payson John Elmore, Abigail Leslie Arisman, Carly Elizabeth Erkinger, Angel Cynthia Fabiani, Ethan R. Farmer, Caleb Day Fosnock, Emily Victoria Fosnock, Caitlin Diana Fosnock, Sean Xavier Fester, Michael Joseph Fluke, Brock W. Fox, Caleb Nathaniel Francis, Tristan Michael Frederick, Cameron Ty Freeman, Damian M. Freeman, Sarah Alinda Fritsch, Seth Allen Fritz, Alexis Michelle Fuller, Grace Madison Garber, Bethany Grace Garner, Luke Gaylert, Caitlin Geib, Shane Stephen Geisel, Kelly Sue Gerhart, Sibylla May Gerhart, Megan R. Giliberte, Brock David Gingrich, Jaden Christina Greco, Trey Anthony James Griffin, Destiny Grace Hagan, Summer Joy Haldeman, Matthew William Harper, Kendall May Hagee, Natasha Herr, Carter Higginbotham, Joshua Michael Hoover, Abigail Lynn Horning, Lindsay M. Holsheiser, Gabriella Katie Barbosa Hurst, Gloria Elena Irvin, Garrett Matthew Ginelli, Joel Louis Ginelli, Owen A. Keith, Hunter Keller, Emily Elizabeth Kendall, Carter James Kirby, Jameson Lee Kernahan, Austin Ryan Kearns, Nelia Komarek, Leah Elizabeth Nepper, Fedor A. Copenhaver, Logan Kreitz, Zachary Aaron Kreutzer, Ariel Marie Kutzer, Austin M. Landis, Cam S. Lesher, Shaylee Sky Lipko, Pascal S. Lunsford, Moses Madison, Caitlin Margaret Marks, Shadeli Marrero, Abigail Catherine Martin, Ian D. Martin, Ian Francis Martin, Jordan Emily Martin, Lindsay Bree Martin, Lucas Kyle Martin, Savannah Nicole Martin, Yenny G. Martinez, Leah Noel Matthews, Connor Stewart McAlpin, Aiden McAvoy, Amy N. McGee, Dominic Allen Meyer, Brody Harrison Miller, Nicholas C. Malignoni, Corey Mull, Peter James Moran, Molly Sue Morgan, Alexandria Lynn Myers, Eddie J. Negron, Andrew Michael Nessinger, Colby Dylan Knoll, Jacob Lee Knoll, Mason Gage Norris, Noah Michael Palm, Marshall Keith Patterson, Benjamin Pihote, Michael Y. Pa, Faith Eden Poling, Bryce Stephen Popoulis, Miguel Prysakar, Samau Prysakar, Caden Rankin, Dylan Mitchell Rapp, Corvin M. Reese, Samuel A. Renninger, Allison Kate Richwine, Sarah A. Rising, Megan Lizette Rodriguez, Brandon Rowling, Stella Elizabeth Roseborough, Alec Roth, Gabrielle Joy Root, Geneva G. Root, Austin Keith Rosika Porter, Chase Kingsley Sam, Austin Matthew Souter, Bailey Morgan Souter, Tyler M. Schmidt, Cody Wyatt Sicione, Damian Allen Seidel, Cody Matthew Shea, Zachary Lyle Shirk, Alyssa P. Sherman, Parker Schober, Carrie-Ann M. Skiles, Matthew Thomas Snyder, Karina Joy Stauffer, Josiah Lee Stauffer. Bradley R. Stiert. Andrew Christian Stevens. Devin Lee Stoltzfus. Darren Zachary Summers. Keurig James Svengard. Grant Vincent Swan. Jaden Alexa Swigert. Russell E. Templin. Morgan Elizabeth Toney. Chad Kenneth Thorpe. Jesse Trevel. Madison Olivia Lynn Troutman. John I. Turner. Isaiah J. Ugaldi. Tiffany Ann Updike. Eric L. Varner. Jeffrey David Varner. Madison Victoria Velazquez. Christopher Wall. Carson Andrew Warner. Victoria Dawn Weaver. Cameron Scott Weinhold. Wilbur Joseph Weinhold. Cooper Ian Werney. Dylan Anthony Westman. Ivan Williams. Dylan L. Wise. Kevin Hemi Wood. Andrew James Yont. Ronald L. Zom III. Michelle Zelenovskaya. Katie Christine Ziegler. Colby Zimmerman. Elizabeth Marion Carol Zimmerman. Jason W. Zimmerman. Gavin Zwally.
By the power bestowed on me as Superintendent of Cocalico School District, I now declare you graduates of Cocalico High School, class of 2020. Congratulations, you made it. We're so very proud of you. What a class and what a year. It's been quite the journey for you, for your parents and guardians, for all of us, truly. You started the year with excitement, anticipation, and hope, as you should have. It was your senior year, after all. Then in March, everything changed. Things were postponed, canceled, or even closed. First for a week, then 2 weeks, then a month, and then the rest of the school year. And that's when despair set in. Hopelessness, sadness, a sense of utter unfairness. People started asking, why now? Why? Why this class? Why these students? These were our 9/11 babies. And now they'll also be remembered as the class of 2020, the class that lost out on prom, on senior awards ceremony, on their final athletics season, on commencement in the way that they had been looking forward to it. And it's true, class of 2020, you have lost out. You have been robbed of a lot. Your ceremonies and celebrations are very different than anything we've ever hosted before. But still, class of 2020, still, you've made it. You've received your diplomas, and now you're graduates. That part is the same as any other year, as any other class that's gone before you. No one can take that accomplishment from you. And though we're celebrating differently this year, in some ways, your graduation is the most memorable of all. After all, who else here in Cocalico had a bus parade that was escorted by the police and the fire police and had sirens for your graduation? Who else was given free television coverage by the local network? Who else was given baskets of gifts from faculty and community members? Who else but the class of 2020? Class of 2020, when you look back on this day, I hope you won't think of it as a day of loss, a day of sadness, or a day of disappointment. Instead, I hope you will look back on it as a time when the community rallied for you, provided you with the recognition that you deserved for your many accomplishments, a day when you could reflect on your years here in Cocalico. You could think about your time with friends, with teachers. You can think about the support from your family, your parents, your guardians, your extended family. And you can think about the ways that they have impacted you in small and large ways over the last number of days, months, and years. I hope that you can think of this as a day that is filled with the glow of accomplishment for what you've accomplished and completed, and a sense of excitement about what is to come. And graduates, I hope this is the day when you will resolve to live life with gratitude and generosity as someone who's been blessed, even during adversity. Many of you have experienced good health, a loving family, a keen mind, and many material resources. Some of you have been blessed with all that and more. So I hope that from the perspective of someone who's been blessed, you will see fit to give freely to others generous gifts of your time and your talents, financial support, or words of encouragement to those around you. You see, class of 2020, you have a unique perspective, one that the rest of us will never fully appreciate. You are survivors of the COVID-19 pandemic, and you graduated in spite of the challenges that this posed. You know what it's like to have lost out on some things, but for others to step forward and look for ways to rally behind you, to rally around you, to support you. And you know that that can make all the difference. So, class of 2020, look around. Today, tomorrow, in the years to come, look for others who have lost out, who've been disappointed and discouraged. Where life seems unfair and uncertain, look for those who need you to offer hope, excitement, and anticipation of things to come and better days ahead. Be that person who infuses new life and new celebrations into situations that were considered failed and lost. Take a lesson from Anne Frank, who in the midst of her own isolation, constant fear, and real danger, wrote in her diary, "No one has ever become poor by giving." Let me say that again. No one has ever become poor by giving. In short, my friends, live generously, not as someone who has lost out or failed or been caught in misfortune, but as someone who has prevailed and triumphed, and as someone who will help others in their time of need. For as you give, others will be blessed, and you will be too. Class of 2020, you made it, and because of you, others will too. Best wishes and congratulations again. And now I will turn it over to Carrie Buckwalter, who will lead the graduates in their cap toss.
Now that we are graduates, it is time to turn our tassels. It is now time for the cap toss.
1, 2, 3.
Now it is time to listen to our alma mater.
To thee